our shirt on Teespring.
The presidency of Donald Trump was marked by an unprecedented volume of false and misleading statements. Throughout his term, Trump made thousands of false claims on a wide range of topics. The Washington Post fact-checker documented over 30,000 false or misleading claims. This equates to an average of over 21 false claims per day. These falsehoods eroded public trust and fueled partisan divisions. Trump's approach went beyond making inaccurate statements. He and his allies overwhelmed the media with disinformation. This tactic, called flood the zone, blurred fact and fiction. Steve Bannon described it as flooding the zone with shit. The deluge of false claims created confusion and doubt. Social media amplified this strategy, spreading misinformation rapidly. The tactic had damaging effects, overwhelming journalists and fact-checkers. The public became exhausted and disengaged. Corrections struggled to gain traction. This environment fostered conspiracy theories and disinformation. One of the most egregious examples of Trump's disinformation campaign was his relentless promotion of the false claim that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from him. Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, Trump repeatedly asserted that the election was rigged and that he was the rightful winner. Trump's big lie about election fraud, as it came to be known, was a textbook example of the disinformation tactics he employed throughout his presidency. He repeated the lie ad nauseum, both in public statements and on social media, despite numerous court rulings and recounts confirming the election's legitimacy. Trump's election lies had a corrosive effect on American democracy. They undermined public trust in the electoral process and fueled anger and resentment among his supporters. This culminated in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, a direct assault on American democracy inspired by Trump's false claims. The big lie was not an isolated incident, but rather the culmination of years of Trump's efforts to sow distrust in democratic institutions and norms. He repeatedly attacked the media, the judiciary, and anyone else who dared to question his claims. His actions demonstrated a blatant disregard for the rule of law and the peaceful transfer of power. Trump's effectiveness in spreading disinformation was amplified by his mastery of the repetition effect. This psychological phenomenon describes the tendency for people to believe information more readily when they have been exposed to it multiple times, even if it is false. Trump understood the power of repetition intuitively. He would often repeat the same false claims over and over again in rallies, interviews, and on social media. This constant repetition, regardless of evidence to the contrary, had the effect of normalizing the lies and making them seem more credible to his supporters. The Washington Post's fact-checker column even created a special category called Bottomless Pinocchio to track the false claims that Trump repeated at least 20 times. Trump was the only politician to ever meet this dubious distinction, with 14 statements earning the Bottomless Pinocchio rating. The repetition effect posed a significant challenge for fact-checkers. Each time Trump repeated a debunked claim, it required a renewed effort to correct the record. This constant game of whack-a-mole made it difficult to keep up with the volume of misinformation and ensure that the truth reached a wide audience. Section 5. A legacy of lies, fabrications from Trump's business empire. Trump's penchant for falsehoods was not limited to his political career. His business dealings were also riddled with exaggerations, misrepresentations, and outright lies. Throughout his career, Trump cultivated a public persona built on a foundation of self-promotion and deception. One of the most well-documented examples of Trump's business-related falsehoods involved his claims about his wealth. Trump consistently exaggerated his net worth, often claiming to be far wealthier than independent estimates suggested. He used these inflated figures to bolster his image as a successful businessman and to secure loans and business deals. Trump's business career was also marked by numerous lawsuits and allegations of fraud. He was accused of everything from defrauding students at his now-defunct Trump University to engaging in discriminatory housing practices. While not all of these allegations were proven in court, they painted a picture of a businessman with a loose relationship with the truth. Trump's habit of making false and misleading statements in the business world foreshadowed his approach to politics. In both realms, he demonstrated a willingness to prioritize personal gain over honesty and integrity. Section 6. A family history shrouded in mistruths. Even Trump's claims about his family background were not immune from his tendency to embellish the truth. He often made misleading statements about his heritage, upbringing, and the accomplishments of his family members. For instance, Trump frequently claimed that his father, Fred Trump, was born in Germany. In reality, Fred Trump was born in the Bronx, New York, to German immigrant parents. Trump's false claims about his father's birthplace appear to have been an attempt to downplay his family's immigrant roots. Trump also made misleading statements about his own education. He repeatedly claimed to have graduated first in his class from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. However, there is no evidence to support this claim, and Trump's name does not appear on any list of honors graduates from Wharton. These relatively minor falsehoods about his family history, while seemingly insignificant compared to some of his other claims, further illustrate Trump's ingrained habit of distorting the truth, even when it came to matters of personal identity. Section 7. From 9/11 to the border wall. A tapestry of deceit. Trump's falsehoods extended to a wide range of policy areas, from healthcare to immigration to foreign policy. He consistently made demonstrably false statements about his administration's achievements, often contradicting his own previous statements and readily available evidence. One notable example is Trump's repeated claim that Mexico would pay for the construction of a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. This claim, a central promise of his 2016 presidential campaign, was demonstrably false. Mexico never agreed to pay for the wall, and the Trump administration ultimately diverted billions of dollars from the U.S. military budget to fund its construction. Trump also made numerous false and misleading statements about the Affordable Care Act, often claiming that he had repealed and replaced the law when he had not. His administration repeatedly attempted to undermine the law through executive actions and legal challenges, but it remained in effect throughout his presidency. In the realm of foreign policy, Trump made false claims about the Iran nuclear deal, the Paris Climate Agreement, and the NATO alliance. He withdrew the United States from these agreements based on false pretenses, damaging America's standing in the world and undermining global efforts to address climate change and prevent nuclear proliferation. Section 8. A crisis of confidence. Public perception of Trump's honesty. Trump's constant stream of falsehoods had a significant impact on public trust in his presidency. Throughout his term, polls consistently showed that a majority of Americans did not believe he was honest or trustworthy. For example, a CNN poll conducted in December 2020 found that only 34% of Americans considered Trump to be honest and trustworthy. This lack of trust extended beyond his political opponents, with even a significant portion of Republicans expressing doubts about his veracity. Trump's low approval ratings and the widespread distrust in his honesty were a reflection of the corrosive effect his falsehoods had on American politics. His constant lying eroded public faith in government institutions and made it difficult for him to effectively govern. The erosion of trust in Trump's presidency was not limited to the United States. His penchant for falsehoods and his disdain for democratic norms damaged America's reputation abroad and weakened its alliances with democratic partners. Section 9. The Long Shadow of Deception: Implications for American Politics. The legacy of Trump's falsehoods will continue to cast a long shadow over American politics for years to come. His presidency normalized the acceptance of misinformation and disinformation, making it more difficult to hold leaders accountable for their words and actions. Trump's success in exploiting social media to spread falsehoods also highlighted the challenges of combating misinformation in the digital age. The proliferation of fake news, conspiracy theories, and other forms of online deception poses a significant threat to democratic societies. Addressing this challenge will require a multifaceted approach, including efforts to promote media literacy, strengthen fact-checking and journalistic integrity, and hold social media companies accountable for the spread of harmful content on their platforms. Ultimately, the fight against misinformation is a fight to preserve the very foundations of democracy. If citizens are unable to distinguish truth from falsehood, it becomes impossible to have informed public debate, hold leaders accountable, and make sound decisions about the future.